Hello everyone, today's topic of discussion is glycogen metabolism. Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. When our body is enriched in glucose, then it starts forming glycogen, its storage form. And whenever our body feels deficient, then glycogen starts metabolizing into glucose. The main site for glycogen storage is liver and muscles, and it is branched polymer of glucose. Then we talk about functions of glycogen. What are the functions of glycogen? Firstly, it maintains blood glucose level. How it maintains blood glucose level? When the glucose is high in amount, then it start forming in glycogen. And if our body feel deficient, then glycogen start metabolizing into glucose so that it maintains our blood glucose level. If it don't maintain blood glucose level, then it may lead to hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. Hyperglycemia is increase of blood sugar and hypoglycemia is decrease of blood sugar. Liver glycogen stores whenever we are in well fed state, that is we are eating properly and efficiently, then it start forming liver glycogen and deplete glycogen whenever we are on fasting. Same as in muscle, glycogen serve as fuel reserve for the supply of ATP during muscles contraction. Then the question arises, why we need glycogen as fuel reserve, or what are the reasons behind it? As I have told you, it maintains blood glucose level and glycogen move rapidly, and also in the absence of oxygen, glycogen converts into glucose, and some tissues which are mainly depend upon glucose for their energy supply, like brain. These are some reasons for the glycogen as a fuel reserve. And liver glycogen maintains blood glucose level in between our meals. Before studying glycogen metabolism, we should know about glycogen formation. Glycogen formation is called as glycogenesis. Glyco means glycogen, genesis means formation, that is formation of glycogenesis. Glycogen formation takes place in muscle and liver. And from which substrate glycogen is forming? It is from glucose. As I have told you, when the amount of glucose is increased in the body, then it starts forming glycogen, and this process is known as glycogenesis. It requires ATP and UTP. ATP adenosine triphosphate, UTP uridine 5-triphosphate. Next, these are 4 steps used in synthesis of glycogen. First is activation of glycose, second initiation, third elongation of chain, and fourth is formation of branches in glycogen. In activation of glucose, UDP glucose formation takes place. After that, initiation means start forming chain of glycogen. Here we need a primer which can attach with UDP glucose and start forming chain. After that, elongation of chain. After initiation, elongation of chain takes place. Elongation of chain takes place by attaching one glucose, then another, and so on. A chain is formed. After that, formation of branches in glycogen. As we know that glycogen is branched polymer, but in elongation of chain, it is a linear chain polymer. So branches should be formed. Then an enzyme used for branching and a branched glycogen is formed at last. This is the pathway of glycogenesis. Let's study all the 4 steps one by one. Firstly, that is synthesis of UDP glucose or activation of glucose. Firstly, glucose is substrate, then it converts into glucose 6-phosphate. In glucose 6-phosphate, same as in glycolysis, glucokinase is enzyme and 1 ATP is used. Then glucose 6-phosphate converts into glucose 1-phosphate with the help of enzyme phosphoglucomutase. After that, this glucose 1-phosphate converts into UDP glucose, that is uridine diphosphate glucose, with the help of enzyme UDP glucose phosphorylase. Up to this step, it is step first, that is activation of glucose to UDP glucose. After that, initiation start. But for initiation, we need some pre-existing glycogen molecule for starting initiation. But in the absence of glycogen, a protein known as glycogenin is also used as primer. It is the same process like when we are doing fermentation and we need inoculum for our whole substrate to ferment. Same as that, we need a primer for formation of glycogen. Here primer is glycogenin or pre-existing glycogen molecule. This glycogenin protein contains a amino acid tyrosine which contains a hydroxyl group. UDP glucose attaches with this hydroxyl group and start formation glycogen. This is initiation. After that, elongation of chain takes place with the help of enzyme glycogen synthase, and glucose start attaching one by one with this chain with the help of linkage 1,4-glycosidic linkage. You can see here UDP is eliminated because UDP glucose transfers its glucose to OH of tyrosine group and then eliminated as UDP, and so on. Now the fourth step of the pathway, that is branching of glycogen. Here you can see the glycogen is in linear chain. Now with the help of enzyme glycosyl alpha-4,6 transferase, branching of glycogen takes place, and this process is going on. Firstly elongation, then branching, and after that ultimately formation of glycogen. So first step is initiation of UDP glucose or activation of UDP glucose. After that initiation with the help of primer glycogenin protein. Then elongation. After elongation there is branching of glycogen. It is the whole pathway of glycogenesis. Now we are going to study glycogen metabolism, that is breakdown of glycogen. Earlier we have studied glycogen formation, that is glycogenesis. Now we are going to study glycogenolysis, that is breakdown of glycogen. Glycogen lysis means breakdown, that is breakdown of glycogen. Degradation of glycogen takes place in liver and muscle because it's stored in liver and muscle. So substrate is now glycogen because glycogen is going to break down and in cytosol of cell. For glycogenolysis pathway there are 3 steps. First is action of glycogen phosphorylase, second is action of debranching enzyme, third is formation of glucose. In the glycogen phosphorylase cleaves 1,4-glycosidic linkage between the glucose molecules and start reducing size of glycogen. This process continues until 4-glucose remains on either side of branching point. Let's explain it by the pathway. Here you can see that it is glycogen. Glycogen phosphorylase start cleaving 1,4-glycosidic linkage and it continues until this form occurs, where at the branching point, this is branching point, on the either side of branching there are 4 molecules of glucose. These are glucose molecules. This is branching point. Let's count 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. On either side of branching point there are 4 molecules remain. This is known as limit dextrin. This molecule is known as limit dextrin. Glycogen phosphorylase reduces glycogen into limit dextrin. After that debranching enzyme, that is our second step, action of debranching enzyme starts, that is cleaving of branches of glycogen. Here you can see that these 3 molecules of glucose cleaves from here and attaches to the long chain of glycogen, that is here, and it forms like this. And one more thing, There is 1,4-glycosidic linkage in all the molecules except this one. This is alpha 1,4,1,6 bond, and all the remaining are alpha 1,4 bonds. After that, here debranching in glycosyl transferase. After that, another debranching enzyme acts and cleaves this alone glucose from here, and this glucose eliminated as free glucose. So debranching enzyme is bifunctional. It contains two enzymes. First is transferase, second is alpha 1,6-glycosidase activity. After that, further actions of glycogen phosphorylase continues and it forms glucose 1-phosphate, that is, it starts cleaving glucose one by one, that is, it starts cleaving 1,4-glycosidic linkage and forms glucose 1-phosphate. Then this glucose 1-phosphate converts into glucose 6-phosphate, and then this glucose 6-phosphate converts into glucose. This is the pathway of glycogenesis. Let's study again. First step is action of glycogen phosphorylase. Glycogen phosphorylase cleaves 1,4-glycosidic linkage between the glucose molecules and starts reducing it in continues until glucose 1-phosphate form. So here you can see the branch structure of glycogen, and only this bond is glycosidic 1,6 bond. All the other remaining bonds are glycosidic 1,4 bonds. After that, it forms into a molecule that is limit-dextrin, which contains 4 molecules either on side of branching point. This is branching point and there are 4 molecules on its either side. After that, debranching enzyme acts. There are 2 enzymes in debranching enzyme. First enzyme cleaves the upper branch of limit-dextrin and attaches it again to the longest chain in the linear form. After that, alpha 1,6-glycosidase activity enzyme act and remove this alpha 1,6-glycoside bond and eliminate free glucose. Now this is linear glycogen. Now bonds between this glucose starts cleaving and it forms glucose 1-phosphate, then glucose 6-phosphate, and ultimately glucose is formed. Next is degradation of glycogen by lysosomal acid maltose. In lysosomes, glycogen is continuously degraded by the enzyme alpha 1,4-glycosidase, that is acid maltase, and the significance of this pathway is not known. Now we are going to study about regulation of glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. There are 3 mechanisms which control the regulation. First is allosteric regulation, second is hormonal regulation, and third is influence of calcium. In allosteric regulation, glucose, there are 2 enzymes, glycogen phosphorylase and glycogen synthase. Glucose 6-phosphate, ATP, and glucose in liver inhibits this enzyme glycogen phosphorylase, which is enzyme of glycogenolysis. And in muscles, calcium and AMP stimulates this enzyme. On the other hand, glucose synthase is stimulated by glucose 6-phosphate. This is the all-over mechanism of allosteric regulation. Next is hormonal regulation. Glucagon or epinephrine increases glycogenolysis and insulin increases glycogenesis. It is the hormonal regulation. And third one is influence of calcium. Whenever our muscle contracts, it releases calcium ions, which ultimately stimulates glycogen phosphorylase, that is glycogenolysis. This is all 3 mechanisms of regulation. Thank you.